farm started with my great-granddad in 1948. He came across from Lesotho and he bought the original farm, Sheridan. And we are now, myself, my brother and one of my sisters, are fourth generation farming these farms, and with our kids being the fifth generation. So since 1948, the farms have been in the family name and have increased over the years as we've expanded the business. The farm is made up essentially of two enterprises, profit enterprises, being the apples, the fruit division, and then the dry land, the cropping division, which includes seed potatoes. And the reason we've gone with apples, essentially it started in the early 90s as just a form of finding a crop that we could export, giving ourselves a bit of exposure to foreign income at the time. And it's just grown from then. From 1992, the first orchards were planted. And today we have 120 hectares of apples. And on the cropping side, we've specialized in seed production for potatoes. And there we're doing about 50 hectares of seed potatoes. And the rest of the lands are used for dry beans, speckled sugars, as well as soybeans, wheat and maize. And that's used in rotation, and that is not irrigated. And there's about 1,500 hectares of that in production. We've planted all the cultivars, starting with Royal Gala. There are 9 different cultivars that each just come in on their own window, giving our production season starting in January. We start picking about the second week of January, and we pick through to the end of April with Pink Lady and Sundowner coming in at the back. And then we've got all the cultivars in between. And the reason for that is really to utilize the packing and handling and all the facilities we do have, just to make sure that we can use it for a longer period. And that being said, we're also looking at investing in longer-term storage for the apples, and again, just to give us more prolonged supply into the market and not to be as seasonal as what we are at the moment. So we, as a farm, and I think it's something we've inherited through the family and from our father and from his father, is we value long-term relationships. So the customers, the people who we supply, we value long-term relationships. So on the apples specifically, export, we have a good relationship with Cape 5, based in the Cape, and they do the majority of our exports. Locally, retailers, we use Pick and Pay, and they too have been over 20 years of supplying them with apples. In terms of the seed potatoes, we grow for GWK specifically, and then on the other crops, we supply mostly to the co-ops based in the area. I think the benefit of having your own packing and handling and storing facility, it just gives you that extra element of control where you can manage your product, especially with the apples. It's very important for the cold chain. You get to manage it just that much further. You have a say in the marketing of it, which we think adds value to our products. That goes the same with the beans and the maize. In fact, we do cleaning, we do pre-packing of beans and maize into different packaging. Potatoes, we also have a pack house and handling facilities for potatoes, and we feel that it just gives us an added element of control. So at the moment, it is peak time for work, so we are employing just on 400 seasonal labourers at the moment, and permanent we're at 76 as it stands. But there is work throughout the year. In fact, we've got an average of about 165 people that seasonally work across the year, is what it averages out at. We are optimistic. We obviously have been through highs and lows in the past. We see the challenges. We try and outthink and outbox and outsmart the challenges that are there and do the best we can. But it has been a testing environment. Diesel prices, all the inputs have gone up, so it makes it difficult. But we remain positive and like to think that in the future, agric will always be important. People need to eat, and we're here to put food on the table. So we'd like to think that we've still got a space in the future. My advice would be that there are opportunities. I think definitely in the agric space, I think it's an exciting space to be in. I think when you look at things like technology, seems to be taking off in the agric space. So I think there's definitely scope to get involved. I think it's to look at the opportunities, work out exactly what you're passionate about. I think the lifestyle suits a lot of people, but it is challenging and it does have its lows, but it certainly does have its highs that make it worthwhile.